Hello everyone. My presentation will be on American views on external threats. As for my research design, I will be asking the question of how will political party affiliation affect national safety for Americans. This basically means that I will be asking the question of how do Americans feel about their national security and what is exactly a threat to it and how important it is to address those threats. For the data set used, I will be using Public Opinion Survey, United States Codebook, CCFR 2006. I will be using index, analysis of variability, reliability analysis, chi-squared to determine what those statistics are. The reason I wanted to do this survey was because after 9/11, American citizens are naturally concerned about their security and their place in the world. It can range from external threats to internal threats, and both of these can be very threatening. So I decided to do a result of how do American citizens feel about their security and how concerned they should be. This is my hypothesis. X equals political party affiliation. Y equals feelings on national security. X leads to Y. Depends on whatever political party affiliation the person feels he or she belongs to will affect their feelings on national security. This is because interests and agendas of the different parties differ. And because of this, there's a good chance that people of different parties will have different views as well. Republicans focus on national security, tax breaks for the rich. Democrats focus on civil rights and social benefits. From this, you can tell that there's a good chance that Republicans are more focused on national security than people of other parties are, like the Democrats or other parties listed. These are my dependent variables. All 8 of them focused on the question of Americans believing in the value of their national security and how important it is to address some of those questions that tackle national security. These can be the news, the threat of China, the threat of Islamic fundamentalism, nuclear threats, international terrorism, combating terrorism, maintaining the best military in the world, and the stopping of nuclear proliferation. As for my reliability analysis, judging by what the scale means and the alpha shows, is that they are all very similar questions and they're all very familiar and they are perfectly good to be fit into an index. As for the second part of my reliability analysis, I condensed the data into 3 different categories and there were 16 different ranks. The values ranging from 8 to 24. 8 ranked the highest while 24 was the lowest. And the alpha is 7.55, which is extremely high. But also it means that the variables are related to each other. The mean from my value categories, which range from 8 to 24, was 11.766. The median is 11, and skew is 1.022, and kurtosis is also 1.022. My independent variable is obviously Republicans, other Democrat, which means party affiliation. I was lucky for this question set to be given only Republican, Democrat, and several other small-time parties in America. And I only had to recode the parties that were not Republican and Democrat into other. As I move on finally into my cross-tabulation, I put both variables into 3 categories. My independent variable is party affiliation, Republican, Democrat, and other. And my dependent variables, which were those 8 questions, was condensed by their score into high, medium, and low. What is interesting here is my Kendall's tau c-squared score. It is a 0.07259, which means that this result really shouldn't be generalized to the population. But for my f-score, it is a 0.00000, which means this is not due to sampling error. there have simply been some misconceptions about the hypothesis. As you can see from the scores, that interest for both the Republicans and Democrats and even other is very high for values in national security, which means that national security is an important value and an important priority for everybody, for most people in America, despite their party affiliation. And finally, this is my syntax used. And I recoded some questions and I condensed some questions into 3 categories. I didn't have to do much work with my independent variables because there was very little questions to recode, and I had to add some chi-squared, ranges, statistics, index, and among other things. Thank you for your time. Have a good day.